Welcome to the Bold Moves podcast, the podcast that empowers you to live authentically. Each week, we share personal stories, lessons, and valuable insights to help you make bold moves and create the life you've always dreamt of. So, today we're going to be diving into criticism, how to handle it, learn from it, and not let it crush your confidence. We'll share examples of both constructive criticism, which I have recently experienced, and destructive criticism, which I believe Nat has
Yeah.
an example or a story on.
Yeah.
So let's kick things off by what I recently had going on.
Yeah.
So I think that this is tricky. Even for me to talk about right now, I'm almost like a bit weird about it, but there's nothing wrong with it. I think that's the thing that I had to drive into myself over the last week was the fact that this was constructive criticism. It
Yeah.
wasn't a personal attack on me. So basically I was working with a brand and it was actually something that we worked on together. So Nat and I went and shot in a public location for this brand, and yeah, it went really well on the day. There were definitely things that
Were difficult.
were tricky to navigate, right?
Yeah.
So to give actual examples, where we were, it was in a gym. So the lighting isn't perfect in a gym anyway, especially in the daytime. So this is my first mistake with that whole project, is the fact that I have shot in a gym before and done it really early hours of the morning where it's pitch black outside and then you just have purely the studio lighting. From my experience doing UGC over the last year, it's always like natural light is the winner. Like natural light is best. Direct sunlight is best. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it smack bang in the middle of the day. Hopefully it'll be quiet in the gym, which usually it is at that time.
Yeah.
On that day, it was
not.
not.
It was so busy.
It actually was for Pilates during that time of the day was busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were dealing with the light, we were dealing with the people, we were dealing with the cleanliness of the studio. There were lots of different factors that made it trickier than it would have been if we had the space to ourselves. The lighting was spot on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Conditions weren't perfect. But I knew that. I did genuinely know that. And we could feel, like, I'm sure you could feel it on the day as well. It was like, this isn't ideal. But we were just making the situation work with
doing
what we had.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that some of the shots came out really lovely, actually, and I still stand by a lot of them. But essentially what happened was I sent all of the footage off to the brand, and they just came back and was like, there are some shots that we can use, there's some shots that we can't. And they were totally nice about it. And I think where I struggled was the fact that I've done UGC for well over a year now, and I've never had to reshoot anything, not that I can think of. And I also haven't had to really have revisions on anything. So a revision will be like, you don't have to reshoot it, but you tweak something, or you just make a little change and then you send it back, and it's just something to do with the editing. So yeah, it was a bit of, it wasn't a surprise because I knew that the content wasn't like, even when I sent it off, I was like, this is not my favorite work that I've done. Do you know what I mean?
Super hard with what we had to do too. Like I feel like a lot of what you've done in the past, one, I don't feel like it's really in what you normally do. Not that you don't believe in it or like live that way, because you do. You're a Pilates girl. But like it is so difficult to do the shoots that we did.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of the time yours is very like face and visual and like aesthetic. It wasn't really, I just thought that was a really difficult shoot to do.
It was. And you know what? When I sent off the footage, I was like, I guarantee I'm going to have to reshoot some of this. Like once I'd gone through it all, I was like, I just know. And that's totally fine. And I'm telling you now, I would have never, even if the brand came back to me and was like, yep, it's all good, I would have never sent off that invoice and been like, yep, the job is done. For me, even if the brand hadn't said anything, I just felt like the job wasn't 100% complete.
Yeah.
And I knew it in myself.
Yeah.
So naturally, when you get feedback, which it is feedback,
Mm.
it's not, negative, and it's not an attack on me personally. It was just
No.
feedback.
Yeah.
And the way that they worded it and everything was so kind, and there was nothing wrong with the way they'd said it. But naturally, what we do as people is we receive something like that, whether it's a text, a message, a phone call, someone talking to us face to face, and immediately you want to get defensive.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's just natural. Like it's just something that happens almost instantly. And I'm not even going to lie. I wrote back to them, and it wasn't unprofessional or it wasn't majorly defensive. But even afterwards, I reckon I edited that message 2 to 3 times just to make it look less and less defensive. Because, yeah, my initial message was kind of like not making excuses as such, but I just felt like when I reread it afterwards and had calmed down, I was like, yeah, I could word that much better.
Yeah.
To be honest, that makes it sound like I really went back and was like, rah, rah, rah. I wasn't. I really
No,
wasn't.
that's not in your nature to do that.
No, like I literally went back to him and I was like, I'm not going to lie. I totally understand and I agree with you on a lot of what you're saying.
Mm.
That was what I'd put in the initial message. And then like, even after that, I just added to it. So yeah, I just went back and I was like, I agree. And I'll reshoot it this week. Like, not a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just found it so interesting to see how I read the message initially, and then I had to take a step back and then like reread it a few times to notice that it wasn't anything personal. It wasn't anything bad in
No.
what they were saying.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I actually think it's really healthy as well. Like I'm huge on constructive criticism and taking it quite well. Like I'm not going to lie, I've not always been fantastic at taking it, especially when I was younger. But I'm huge on it because I would rather know to improve than not know
1000%.
to not improve. You know what I mean? Like if they just went, oh yeah, thanks. And you, although in your feeling, because gut feeling is huge for me too, I'm huge on that. Your body will deter something before you actually physically deter something. So like the fact that you're feeling that way too is interesting. But like I'm huge on taking that and bettering yourself from that. And it's better to know than not know.
And you know what was hard for me, right? Was the fact that when they came back with the feedback, they had essentially said, these are the style of shots that we were after in terms of the lighting. And the references that they gave were me, but me like 9 months to a year ago on a project that I did in the gym for a supplements brand. So for me, for a second, I sat there and I thought, wow, like they prefer the content that I made a year ago when I was an absolute novice and a beginner compared to like the experience, quote unquote, like I'm doing the little thing with my fingers, like the experience that I've gained in that year. And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting in itself, because I think, oh, I know what I'm doing, when actually, yeah, they preferred what I did a year ago. So just kind of stick to what I knew. And for me, it was a real learning curve, because it was like I tried to do something different. It didn't work.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
I know now I am not going to be going to the gym to shoot Pilates content
at midday.
On a sunny day when there's people around in the gym. I would rather do what I did in the shoot from a year ago and then what I did for the reshoot on this occasion.
Yeah.
And that is go to the gym at 1:30 in the morning and shoot totally alone, where I can own the space, clean it. I literally went in there with Windex and kitchen roll and was wiping down the mirrors just to get everything
perfect
how I wanted it in the first place. But I didn't feel like I could do that on that day, you know?
Yeah. No, that's so fair. I think it's good. Like personally, I just think they handled that whole situation really well. Naturally, as humans, we do take it as a bit of a hit to us, but I think you handled that situation really well.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that was like hard for me and dropping the ego was the fact that, like I said before, I haven't had any reshoots or like many revisions in my time. And as a creator, everyone's always posting like, oh, there were no revisions needed. And then they post the email that someone has said like, nope, this is perfect, first go, just send through your invoice. And that's almost like a thing in the UGC space to be like,
Really?
I didn't need any revisions. And they show off like, I didn't need any.
How do you learn?
Yeah, exactly. But like, even for me, even though I don't post like that, I was kind of in that mindset of like, oh, I feel like I've lost my streak a little bit of not needing any revisions and not needing to like reshoot anything, which is so beyond ridiculous.
Yeah.
And as soon as I thought it, I was like, why are you thinking like that? That is just stupid.
I just think it's really good that you reached out to do something different to learn that wasn't the ideal space to do it, or time, sorry, to do it. Like, I think that is way more appealing. Like, I would almost do a reel on that, because that to me is way more genuine than people who are doing things like off the bat and it's just like that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's perfect first time.
Because we don't live in a perfect world.
No.
Like, and Instagram is so big on showing things are just perfect all the time when they are seriously not. It's a highlight reel.
Yeah.
So I actually find that so relatable in every aspect of life. And I actually think that would be a really good post. Just saying.
And it's normal. And that's why I'm talking about it now, is to normalize it, because on my Instagram feed, that's not something that I ever really see, is someone talking about the fact that they had to reshoot something or revise something.
Yeah.
When actually creators are doing that every single day. Some creators will be doing that on every single project. Good for them. That's how they're improving, how they're upskilling, how they're learning.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So it was an interesting experience, but it would be totally ridiculous for me to expect in this line of work to never have something like that crop up. So I would rather experience it than go like 5 years without experiencing something like that, and then imagine how much of a shock to the system that would be.
I was going to say, if you're like more and more developed as a UGC, it might hit you a little bit differently. But I think if you get it at a younger you in UGC, do you know what I mean? Like younger in your years, it's a lot easier to tackle possibly.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just nice, really, for someone to be completely honest and feel like they could just trust me on giving me that feedback and trusting me to do any reshoots. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some brands that might turn around and be like, no, we don't like it, like game over, you missed your shot. There might be some creators, on the other hand, that would turn around and be like, I'm not reshooting, here's the invoice.
Yeah.
Instead, what I decided to do was totally agree with them on pretty much everything that they said and over deliver.
Yeah.
Because even when I messaged them a few days later and I said, look, I'm shooting the content tonight, like I'll let you know once it's ready. And they were like, yep, cool. And then I posted on my stories about shooting at 1:30 to 3:30 a.m. So I got up, did my makeup at 12 a.m.
That's wild.
Washed my hair, had a shower, blow dried it.
That's commitment. Did they message you?
Yeah, so then I shot from 1:30 till 3:30, posted like a selfie afterwards being like, did I get here at 1:30? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. Did I bring Windex to clean this mirror? Yes. And
I love that.
They saw it and was like, wow, like I cannot believe that you went there at that time in the morning just for us. Like that's commitment. And I think genuinely that would have been impressive to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you got work, you got drive, which also is just not a thing a lot of the time these days.
And I'm such a perfectionist.
You are a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I really know why now. You're a Virgo.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all makes sense. No, I love it. I love it. Your dedication to your work is very infectious.
I was like, if I'm doing it, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 1,000%. Like, I'm going to give it every little bit of me. Yeah. And I felt like, on the first time that we shot it, I think I was thrown off by all of the distractions that were happening around us. And again, I'm not making excuses for the first round not being as I wanted it to be. That's one thing I didn't do in my message, was be like, well, it was because of this and it was because of that. And like, we also had this, like they were aware of all of those things. They could see it from the footage. I didn't need to
put that in there.
Nah.
Yeah.
But I think I was so distracted on that first instance and that first time that we were trying to shoot it, that I was just like, whatever it is, it needs to be, like it needs to be okay. I'm sure it will be fine. And then you only really know when you're reviewing it afterwards anyway. Yeah. Even when I finished at that, like, what do I call it? Late night or early morning? Don't know. It was kind of both. But when I shot it that second time, I don't really know what it's going to look like fully until I get home and I put it all on my laptop.
Yeah.
So,
Also, your lighting, like your eyes are so different to
yeah,
lighting on your phone,
100%.
especially at 1 a.m. in the morning. So,
And
yeah,
especially
like,
when we were in the bright sunshine, and that was my decision to move us from that corner that we were in
yeah, but for
to
good
direct
reason.
sunlight. Yeah, there was that girl behind us, which was just really
Also, the
not ideal.
sign. Remember the
And
sign?
the neon lights.
Yeah.
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 There were many things. Um, but I was the one who moved us into the sun. And that was too harsh for what it was that we were trying to shoot.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at the time, but I would understand and I would recognize that now.
Mm.
And I just took complete responsibility for that. That was my fault.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody else to blame here. Like, that
No.
was my idea. I'm the one who shot it. And yeah, it wasn't quite good enough. And that's all there is to it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's good. I think it's good reflection that you had. And that was a really good way to turn it around. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, a lot of the time we do get quite defensive regardless, but they handled it really well.
Yeah. I think both sides handled it really, really well.
Definitely.
And what is it that Aussies say? Like, I'll wear it. Do you say that?
I'll wear
Am
it.
I saying that right?
I say it.
Am I saying that right? Like, yeah, I'll wear it.
I'll wear it.
Does that make sense or no?
Do I actually get to wear clothes or on that? No. All right. Well, maybe we should go into my story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a little bit of a different kind of story. And yeah, like we've said before, there's obviously constructive criticism and then there's obviously destructive. And I think if you can really pick between the two, your reactions can be actually quite similar, to be fair. But to give you a backstory, I've actually experienced a lot of these moments. This moment just kind of shocked me a little bit because it was from someone that I didn't think I would hear it from. But basically, long story short, I just felt like my credibility as a coach was challenged by somebody who is quite close friends with me. But it was done behind my back. And at the time, when I was being told the story, I just sort of blew it off. I was sort of like, oh yeah, whatever. And then like a couple of hours later, I then went into like, wow, that was so rude. And as if I just blew that off like it was nothing.
Which I feel like we do almost to protect ourselves as well, just to be like, oh, if I don't have to like address it, I'll just ignore it, like put it to one side.
Yeah.
And
like
leave it.
Out of sight, out of mind
type
thing. Or like, oh, you give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And then the more and more I thought about it, because it ate away at me the next day, in a way of like, I don't wear criticism like I used to. Like it ate away at me at the sense of like, I did a lot of reflecting on what that person had said. And I started to break down the thought process of that person in the situation that they were in when they said that. And I went, wow, that is such a reflection of their life and how they're handling their life at the moment, not a reflection of me and my life. And I think I'm a good coach, and I'm not here to like toot my horn
You
or
are a great coach.
Have a big head to walk out the door. But I do think I'm a really good coach. I think I've really learnt over the years of like all the different things that I've picked from different coaches throughout my time and gone, okay, well, I don't really think that's good. I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to do this differently. And I think that has molded me into who I am, which I'm sure it's molded them into who they are. So yeah, it just really shocked me. But I think reflection is huge, and I'm huge on reflection, which I think you are too. And I think that's where constructive and destructive criticism can actually be looked at with the same thought process in the terms of like reflection. Like I could have been quite reactive, and don't get me wrong, I'm only human. I did think about how I could address that, like me messaging that person or like asking to catch up, to have a chat with them, to just be like, let's work this out. But I know in myself I don't need to do that because that's actually not going to get us anywhere. And I don't think you need to justify who you are as a person.
You don't have to explain yourself to nobody.
Nah, you just keep doing your thing and I'll keep doing my thing, and I ain't going to change who I am unless I need to. But I'm not going to change who I am based on that comment, basically.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that it would actually be really helpful for our listeners if we look into how to recognize if it's constructive criticism or feedback or if it's destructive. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, I would ask, it depends on the situation, right? But I would ask in my experience, like the one that I just spoke about, if it was specific and related to the work, just the work, then that's feedback, right? That's constructive.
Yeah.
Is it something that's being directed at me personally? Is it an attack? Then that's totally different. That's destructive. That's not constructive to what we're doing there whatsoever. So yeah, you need to look at like what the person is actually saying. Like, is it offensive or is it actually just about the work itself?
Yeah, actually really interesting. So Tone's obviously in his line of work, he like manages a whole group of people. And every now and again he'll ask me how he should address something with someone. A lot of the time it is females because naturally we're in that world now where it's like male, female can get all twisted around and hopeless. So like this morning he asked me how he could address something with somebody, and like we broke it down and I was like, you can't address that because that's personal. But you can look at it from this aspect, because if that personal thing is actually affecting how that person is showing up at work, that's the angle you have to address it from. So
yeah, whereas if he went straight in with the personal thing,
yeah,
she could be like, well, what's that got to do with? But it's coming back to the work itself. Yeah.
And I think that's the difference when you fire things out and just get reactive, like the person that I'm talking about. They were obviously very reactive and they didn't think of the destruction that they were going to cause when they said what they said. If they had taken it away and reflected, they might have been able to address that situation so much better. But yeah, like it's huge. Like destructive criticism is usually condescending or passive aggressive, and you can usually pick that out. If it's attacking you and your personality, like that is destructive.
Yeah, exactly. And is it based upon the facts or is it purely opinion?
Yeah.
Which can be tricky, like in my line of work, because how someone views content, it's kind of like subjective, right? Like I could think something looks really good. Somebody else looks at it and is like, that's shit.
Hugely. But even like for me, like even the way I might say something as well, like I obviously deal with personalities every single day. I mean, you know this from BFT days. You might have been able to coach somebody a certain way, but you couldn't coach that next person the exact same way. Like that in itself just shows the difference in people and how you can address different people.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think it's the way that it's being delivered, isn't it?
100%.
It's how it's being delivered and what it is that they're actually saying.
Yeah.
Also, another point is how is it done? So in your instance, with the example that you gave, you weren't there.
No.
But other times, sometimes criticism that's destructive might be done in a public manner. So in front of other people. And that would be, the purpose there is to like embarrass and belittle and put you down in front of other people for everyone else to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, if it's like a one-to-one chat and it's calm and the environment around you is like quiet, there's not people watching on, and it's done privately and handled with care, that's totally different.
Yeah, hugely. Like, yeah, there's just so many different ways you can handle. Well, actually, there's not so many different ways. It has to come from a place of care and love if you genuinely care about that person. And I think that can really show how that person views you depending on how they address something with you, right? Like in your instance, they have obviously seen what you've done before and they loved what you did before. They're obviously a business as well. They've got to obviously hold a certain standard. but also they like know what you can do. So they address that with you so perfectly that it forced you to then go above and beyond and do what you did. And now they're like astonished.
And also, I didn't even do that in a I need to prove myself kind of
No,
way. It was like,
but that's just you.
I just wanted to do it for me as
Yeah,
well.
like that's you loving your work and owning your brand. Like you are your brand. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. And I think another thing that you have to ask yourself when you're trying to recognize if it's feedback or if it's destructive criticism is how are you leaving the conversation feeling?
Mm.
And don't base that on the initial reaction.
Yeah. Like I'm huge on like obviously like it's so hard. Like obviously in the moment it's so difficult if somebody's like having a go at you. Obviously that is so different. Like our situations, yours was over social media, mine was through somebody else. So that's like a difficult one. But in the moment if I'm feeling like it's attacking me, I'm learnt over time, like I'm 32 and I'm probably still learning this, but like not to be reactive. I'm huge on going like quiet now. And I probably thank Tones for this because he's so humble. But like I've seen him have direct conversations before. And if you don't have the right words to put together in that exact moment, he's not reactive.
You're better off saying nothing at
You're
all.
better off saying nothing, right? Like if it's hit you and you're not really sure what to say back or you want to be reactive and you want to like dig at them, you've just reached their level by digging back at them because that's usually the tone that you do, right? If they've taken a stab at you, you take a stab at them. The joys of having siblings, right? Growing up. But yeah, like I think how you react says so much about you and so much about them as well. Because usually if you're not one to react, they can tend to get a little bit more fiery as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is something that just talking about these two examples, we've kind of covered already, but just a few more ways that you can deal with criticism. So, exactly what Nat was just saying, take a moment before you react, have a breather.
Yes, protect your energy.
Yes.
Like, yeah, take a breath, step away, think about it, you know?
Because you even said that it took you like later that day or like the next day to sit with how you were truly feeling about it.
Yeah, I think because it was somebody who I just, like, I don't even know. Like, it was somebody I probably did expect it from, but didn't expect it from. Do you know what I mean? Like, I sort of thought in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm not surprised. That's why I sort of went, oh, yeah, whatever at first. And then I went, no, that's what you always do. You always do that with people who are like close to you. You go, oh, yeah, whatever. Whereas with this one, I just went, no, like, and do you know what? Past me would have let that eat away at me as a person and would have put me back into my shell, whereas this didn't. So, like, you know, I went to bed that night because it was at night that I heard it. I went to bed that night, I went to bed thinking about it, and I woke up in the morning and that's when I started reflecting and like writing some stuff down. And then I went, you know what? This really isn't a reflection of me. This is just a reflection of that person and what they're going through and their insecurities and their jealousy of something, of some form.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so honestly, couldn't have put it better myself. Like just literally having that breather and having that moment, or like, yeah, literally leaving it overnight to then reflect. I think that that is so mature of you.
Thanks, Bob. I'm huge on the other thing I've learned over time, I think, is like never make a decision when you're emotional. Like that is so true. Tones and I talk about that quite a bit with like life in general. But yeah, like if you make a decision when you're emotional, you're probably going to end up making the wrong decision. And that's every aspect of life. That's work, relationship, friendship, everything. And I've definitely been a person that's made decisions in emotional states. And I've definitely learned over time that's just not healthy at all.
Yeah, and you end up regretting it most likely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
So a few other ways that we can deal with this was mostly directed at constructive criticism, but feel free to give us that other side of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just focusing on what the message is and asking for clarification if it's needed and doing that
Yes.
respectfully and calmly. So going back to that recent collaboration that I was talking about, when I went back to them and was like, totally agree, I was like, can you actually just lay out for me exactly what you're after? Because maybe that's something else that we could have touched on more when we first spoke about the collaboration was like the precise shots that they wanted.
Mm.
So I went back and I was like, can you let me know? And they were like, yeah, no problem. So I think it was actually a bit of a lack of communication there as well
Yeah.
initially. But
Which
they
is
had,
super hard through social media as
it
well,
is,
because
yeah.
how you read something and how somebody else reads something is so different, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it can be hard because like what I was saying, where content can be so subjective is like what I thought would look really good and what I thought that they were after, actually they weren't. Um, so yeah, it was just really interesting. That was one of the first things that I did. I was
Yeah.
like, I just need to know exactly what you want so that I know that I'm going to nail it this time. You know what I mean?
100%. On a destructive thought with clarification, make someone clarify what they've just said to you. And I bet you $10 they'll trip over themselves because it was said out of like reaction. And a lot of the time they won't be able to explain what they actually meant because what they've actually meant or were feeling, they haven't dealt with yet. So they won't be able to say it.
Oh, 100%. This next one as well, I feel like you're going to be able to give me the flip side,
Yeah.
right? So for me, going back to that collaboration, because that is my example that we're using here, I just wanted to remind myself of the person that I am and the person that I want to be. And a professional wouldn't go back all defensive, wouldn't go back and be rude, wouldn't go back and be like, oh, these are all the excuses as to why it didn't work. I was just like, nope, I'm going to be professional, I'm going to be kind, and I am going to offer solutions.
Yes, that's so good.
Whereas I feel like on the flip side, it's like with your example, it's like, no, actually, that's not a reflection of the person that I am.
Yeah, 100%. I think it comes from self-worth as well. Like, you know, if you have self-worth in yourself, wow, that's a tongue twister. Yeah, you'll realize that it is that person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
And you know
then
yourself and you know who you are. So
100%.
it didn't matter. Like, that's
Nah,
almost like the opposite to what I'm saying there. But I really did need to remind myself for a second of like, is that how I want to be in my business? Is that
yeah,
how I want to, like, if I was to react in a certain way, is that how I'd want to be remembered? Hell no, I'm
yeah.
not going to do that.
100%. Like, I'm huge on you are your brand, right? No matter what. Like, if somebody's come and attack you, not you, but in my situation being attacked, how I respond is a reflection of me and my
Yes.
brand.
Yep.
Same for you with your constructive criticism. If you had reacted like reactively, that's a reflection of you. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are and knowing that you're a good person and that you can handle situations with grace.
Yep. Oh, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, so true, 100%. I'm like, how many other ways can I say 100%?
120, but don't tell tones that. The other thing that I think with destructive criticism, and I'm not 100% sure if this is healthy, but I sometimes use it as fuel for fire.
Yeah.
Because that to me is like, no, I do know that I'm a really good coach. Thanks. And I'm just going to use what your negative thought process and go, no, fuel for fire, because I actually really am good at what I do. And I'll own that.
Yeah. And for me, on the flip side of
Yeah.
that, is using it as a tool for growth because
Yeah.
the most highly successful people in this world want critique because they
Yes.
want to improve.
Yeah.
If you don't have critique, how are you ever going to learn?
I was going to use an example because I was thinking of constructive criticism over my years of being in the workplace. I applied for Flight Centre back in, I reckon, 2013 when I was really unsure on what I wanted to do, or 2014. And they knocked me back. And I was quite young, like I was only 3 years out of school. So 2013, yeah, 3 years out of school. And I was just sort of like, oh, they don't want me. Okay, next job. Then I reapplied for them in 2016, I reckon. and they knocked me back again. And I was like, nah, I'm going to call them. So I called them and I was just like, hey, like, I've been knocked back. Can I ask why? And they said, oh, on your resume, it doesn't show that you are wanting to be in travel. All of your stuff is you in interior design. And I was like, oh no, like I'm huge on travel. Like I've traveled heaps. Like I really want to be in this industry. This is the industry for me at that time. And then they called me in for an interview. And I was like, if I didn't call them to show them that this is what I wanted to do, then I wouldn't have been a travel agent, for a good 1.5 to 2 years. Do you know what I mean?
One word. Balls.
Balls.
Balls on her. Because honestly, how many people do you know that would have ever done that? They get rejected and then they call them up directly.
Yeah.
You joking me? I've never met anyone that's done that in my life, so fair play.
I'm just so huge on how can I be better?
Yeah.
Like I don't know where that's come from. Like I was trying to think of it on the drive here. Like where have I gotten that from? It possibly could be from my dad. I think a lot of my growth has been from a lot of things he's said over the years. But yeah, like for me, I'm always like, well, no, like how can I be better? Like how can I be a better human for people around me as well as for me? So if I didn't get a job for a reason, I want to know why. Actually, I take that back. It's from my sister. My sister, Debbie, she is the balls in our family. She is the go-getter and she has been such a hero for me over the years of like, nah, just go for it. Why are you not going for it? Like if that's what you want to do, just go and do it. And I love that attitude.
That was the perfect example of one of my points here with how to deal with the criticism was don't avoid it, face it head on.
Yeah.
Mic drop. We don't need to talk on that point no more because Nat has it covered. That was perfect.
Yeah. I just think it's fuel for growth. Huge.
100%. So what benefits will we get from applying all of this? Okay, look, I'm not going to go to the destructive side.
Yeah.
You can look at that as a benefit because it's like now you have information on this person or this situation that you didn't have before and you will learn from it in some way.
Yeah.
For my situation, brands or clients, whatever field of work you're in, they're probably going to work with you again for being so understanding and for being easy to work with.
Absolutely.
So benefit right there. It also builds emotional resilience and it reveals something that you may not have seen before. Like genuinely, I look back on the shots and I was like, oh yeah, fair. I didn't see that, but I see what they're saying.
Yeah. Which I think is huge. Like I think about photography and videography and all of that. Like how we see, like we could be looking at the same picture and be seeing totally different things. You know what I mean? Like that was huge for me in interior design. Like one of the interior designers that I used to work for had really ideal eyes for detail. Like she could walk in a room and pick up on things that I genuinely wouldn't even see. But you'd take a photo and then I would see it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that in person, but on a phone, I can see that.
Yeah. And everyone's so different. Like we all look at things very differently.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we've left you with some pointers on how to deal with constructive criticism as well as destructive. So thanks for listening to another episode of The Bold Moves. You can find us on Instagram at The Bold Moves Podcast. You can find Mia at Mia Just Whole and myself at Nat Elder. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a rating to help us reach more people. See you on our next episode.